I had been counting down the days for my brand new sneakers to arrive. Not just any sneakers. These were the ones I had been saving for, the kind people stop and stare at when you walk by. Limited edition, sleek design, the type of shoes that scream style before you even open your mouth. When delivery day finally rolled around, of course, I was stuck at work. No problem, I thought. Every package I'd ever had was always left neatly on my porch. Sometimes the driver tucked it off to the side, sometimes behind the chair, but always waiting there when I got home. I spent my shift refreshing the delivery tracker like a kid checking the chimney on Christmas Eve. Finally, the notification buzzed across my screen. Package delivered at your front door. Relief washed over me, but when I pulled into my driveway later that afternoon, something felt wrong. My porch looked too bare, too perfect. I rushed up the steps, checking behind the chair, under the mat, even around the bushes. Nothing, no box, no sneakers, just empty space staring back at me. I checked the delivery email again, hoping maybe there'd been a mistake. Nope. Timestamp confirmed. And worse, there was a photo attached. My sneakers, sitting proudly on my porch, exactly where they should have been. They were there, but now they weren't. Heat rose in my face as the realization sank in. Someone had stolen them, swiped my package right from my doorstep. Frustrated and furious, I called the delivery company thinking they might help me figure it out. Instead, I got the same story I already knew. Yes, the package had been delivered. Yes, the driver had left proof. Beyond that? Nothing. Just a polite, sorry for the inconvenience, and a hollow smile I could practically hear through the phone. That's when it clicked. This wasn't some random thief wandering through the neighborhood. No, this felt targeted. Someone nearby, someone watching, someone who knew exactly when I wasn't home. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. At first, I tried to convince myself it was just bad luck. Maybe a passerby saw the sneakers and gave in to temptation. One-time thing, right? But a couple weeks later, my nephew's birthday came around, and I ordered him a set of toys he had been begging for. Bright, colorful action figures. Not pricey, but meaningful. I wanted them to arrive in time. Delivery day played out exactly like before. I was at work, refreshing the tracking page during every break, until finally the notification popped up again. Package delivered at your front door. This time, a knot tightened in my stomach. Still, I tried to shake it off. Lightning couldn't strike twice. Right? Wrong. When I pulled into my driveway, my porch was bare once again. Not even a scrap of tape left behind. My chest sank. This wasn't random anymore. This was deliberate. Someone was watching my house, waiting for packages and taking them the second they landed. I paced my living room, torn between rage and disbelief. It wasn't just about missing boxes anymore. It was about principle. If I let this go, what would be next? My peace of mind was already slipping. 2 days later, I decided I'd had enough. If anyone could help, it was our HOA president, Karen. She loved nothing more than preaching about keeping the community safe and policing every little detail. For once, her nosy habits might actually do some good. So I walked to her house, knocked, and was greeted by Karen herself, her face twisted in that permanent frown like she'd just smelled spoiled milk. I explained what had happened. 2 stolen packages, 2 ruined deliveries, and asked if the HOA could review cameras or at least send out a neighborhood warning. She nodded along, pretending to care, though her eyes kept darting like she couldn't wait for me to leave. And then, right on cue, her teenage son strolled into the living room. My jaw nearly hit the floor. On his feet, bold as daylight, were the exact same sneakers I had ordered. The limited edition sneakers that had never even made it inside my house. My chest tightened at the sight, but I forced myself to stay composed. I couldn't just explode and start accusing them on the spot. Without proof, I'd look paranoid. But deep down, I already knew. I was staring at the family of the thief. Still, barging into Karen's living room and pointing fingers wasn't the answer. This had to be handled the right way. So I went back to basics and did what I should have done from the start. I bought cameras. Not the bulky, obvious kind. These were small, nearly invisible gadgets I found online. I tucked them neatly under the porch trim, disguised them near the plants, and mounted them so well that from the street you'd never guess they were there. Once the surveillance was in place, I set my trap. This time, I ordered something cheap, just a phone charger and a pair of headphones. Nothing flashy, nothing that would draw suspicion, but the perfect bait to lure out whoever had been robbing me. The package landed on my porch in the afternoon. Same routine. At work, my phone buzzed. Package delivered. Heart racing, I pulled up the live feed. For a while, nothing happened. I almost thought maybe the thief had moved on. But then, a figure appeared on screen, and my jaw dropped. It wasn't her son. It wasn't some stranger passing by. It was Karen herself, the HOA president, the same woman who looked me in the eye while pretending to care about my stolen packages, casually walked up to my porch, grabbed the box, and tucked it under her arm like it belonged to her. She glanced around nervously, then strutted off back to her house. I replayed the footage over and over, barely able to believe it. She wasn't covering for her kid. She wasn't clueless. She was the thief all along. Anger burned through me, but along with it came a spark of something else: opportunity. If Karen wanted to play dirty, I was ready to go nuclear. Instead of reporting her right away, I planned something better. I started ordering harmless components: spring loaders, glitter powder, a can of stink spray, and a packet of industrial-strength dye. I spent the entire night in my garage, working like a mad scientist. I rigged everything neatly into a cardboard box, sealed it with Amazon-style tape, and even weighed it down with junk so it felt authentic when lifted. This wasn't just revenge. This was art. The trap was set. I placed the box squarely on my porch in full view, then went to work with my phone propped up, live feed streaming. Hours passed. Then, right on cue, Karen strutted across my lawn like she owned the place. She glanced around, bent down, snatched the package, and carried it. Away smugly, I couldn't stop grinning. She had no idea what was coming. Moments later, the cameras caught the payoff. The second she opened the box, the spring-loaded contraption went off with a sharp pop. Glitter exploded into the air, coating her face, hair, and clothes in a blinding rainbow storm. She staggered backward, coughing and shrieking, but the chaos wasn't over. A burst of stink spray followed, filling the air with a vile stench, like rotten eggs soaked in vinegar. Then came the dye, a neon green liquid that splattered across her cheeks and hands, staining her skin. Karen flailed wildly, screeching and waving her arms. She looked less like an HOA president and more like a cartoon villain who'd just lost a battle with a paint factory. At my desk, I was laughing so hard I nearly fell out of my chair. But I wasn't done. I raced home, eager to see the aftermath, in person. By the time I pulled into the neighborhood, half the block had gathered outside. Phones were out, neighbors recording as Karen screamed, soaking herself with the garden hose in a desperate attempt to clean up, but it was useless. The dye clung stubbornly, the stink hung in the air, and glitter sparkled across her every move. She looked like a smelly walking disco ball. That night, I clipped the footage together and sent it straight to the HOA board with a short, polite note. Here's your president keeping the neighborhood safe. At the next HOA meeting, Karen was cornered. Every board member had seen the video. There was no way to explain her way out of it. Not only was she forced to pay me double the value of every stolen package, but she was stripped permanently of her HOA presidency. And the best part? Even weeks later, the neon dye still hadn't completely washed off. She sat at that meeting, glowing like a humiliated radioactive clown. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA Showdowns. Tell us in the comments, did Karen get what she deserved?